my name is Chris Durhan. Welcome to another episode of Drinks from Eddie Muller's Noir Bar. Each week I take a chapter from the book Eddie Muller's Noir Bar, Cocktails Inspired by the World of Film Noir, and I talk about the film in that chapter and I make the drink associated with it. Today we're talking about the 1948 film Pitfall and making the drink the Bobby Burns. Now, Pitfall was directed by Alex de Toth. It stars Lisbeth Scott, Dick Powell, and Raymond Burr. Now, Lisbeth Scott, not super familiar with her work. According to Eddie Muller, this is her best role. I wouldn't be at all surprised that that is the case. I first ran into her when I saw Too Late for Tears, and she was amazing in Too Late for Tears. And I think this is a much better role for her. I mean, as much fun as it is to watch her be the tiger in Too Late for Tears, this is more of a real story. Basically, Lisbeth Scott in this film plays a woman who does not necessarily have bad taste in men. She attracts the wrong type of man. Starting with her boyfriend who basically is in prison for embezzling to buy her things that he wants her to have, even though she didn't really ask for them, to Raymond Burr, a former dirty cop who is now a dirty private investigator who is working for an insurance company, kind of freelance, to track down the person who embezzled that money and find out what he might have done with it. And it turns out he has a girlfriend, Elizabeth Scott, who has some things that he bought her, and he's there to get that back. To Dick Powell, who is like kind of the only nice guy here, but he's still pretty, he's kind of iffy, to be honest with you. He's married, he has a kid, he has a beautiful wife, Jane Wyatt, and he has a great home. He's bored with his life. He thinks he's in a terrible rut, and right when he's thinking he's in that rut, he meets Lisbeth Scott, and that's how he thinks he's going to get out of that rut. The big issue is Raymond Burr. Now, I have seen Raymond Burr be bad guys in a lot of different films. I tend to have a hierarchy of evil deeds. Stealing is worse than lying. Hurting someone is worse than stealing. Sexual assault is worse than hurting someone. And murder is worse than all of that. Well, there's very little that Raymond Burr is not above in this film. He lies, he manipulates people, he is guilty of assault and blackmail, and sexual assault is like his wheelhouse. I mean, he is a restraining order just looking for a judge. I have seen Raymond Burr in a lot of films, and I've seen him be bad guys, and he plays an excellent bad guy. This particular bad guy makes your flesh crawl. He's really that offensive. In this film, it doesn't pull any punches. It's a very bad situation, all because of Raymond Burr's machinations, and it plays out realistically, but it also plays out bad. And ultimately, the person who ends up paying the ultimate price is the person who shares the least amount of guilt in this whole movie, which makes it really hard-hitting. And even the ending where Dick Powell kind of comes clean, goes back to his wife, it's not necessarily a given that they're going to live happily ever after, which is one of the things that makes this such a great film. It really is a good film. Now, the drink, the Bobby Burns, is a drink that Eddie Muller picked out. It doesn't say what they drink. The first basically when Dick Powell meets Lisbeth Scott, they end up going for a ride in her boat. And afterwards, he takes her for a drink on the insurance company's dime. And they sit there and they have a drink. It looks like, from the film, it looks like they're having martinis, but Eddie Muller thought that it looked too dark to be a martini. So he decided that probably it was a Bobby Burns that they were having, which is a Scotch take on the Manhattan. So that's what we're going to be making next. So we will be right back to make that drink. I hope you stick around. Thanks. Hi, welcome back. So we're going to be making the Bobby Burns. Now, Bobby Burns is a Scotch drink, and as I've mentioned on previous videos, I don't think I'm a Scotch person. I've had Scotch on a number of occasions. I haven't been real crazy about it. I have one bottle of Scotch that I had bought a while ago, and I really did not like it. I bought a different bottle this time, and I hope this will be better. This is Monkey Shoulder, which was listed as, I just did a Google search on, bargain budget Scotch, and this one came up as the top one in the low price category for mixed drinks. So I'm hoping this one will be good. So what we're going to do is we're going to start, it's a stirred drink, so we're going to start with some ice in our mixing glass. All right, and we're going to do the Scotch is Monkey Shoulder. It's got cool little monkeys on the edge of the glass. Apparently Monkey Shoulder is a takeoff on it was a thing that the workers would get. They'd have problems with their shoulders from stirring the mash or the peat or something like that. So that's where Monkey Shoulder came from. But it is a really cool bottle, and it was recommended well, and I don't know jack about Scotch, so I'm hoping this works out. So we need 1.5 ounces of this. Oop, there we go. And then we need 1.5 ounces of sweet vermouth. And so we do 1.5 ounces of sweet vermouth. Okay, and then we need 3 dashes of Benedictine. Oops, wrong top. Okay, 3 dashes of Benedictine. Now, I don't really know quite how to pour dashes out of a bottle. What I did is I took just a bottle of bitters, and I did a couple of dashes into this bar spoon, and it looked like it made almost half of one of this size spoons. So I'm just going to go with kind of like a heavy half, hopefully, to come up with my 3 dashes. And then we're going to stir. And again, what I'm trying to do here, not always successful when you're stirring, is you're just trying to, as much as possible, just move the ice around the stirring glass without really disturbing it, just to kind of get the drink cooled down. Okay, I'm going to call that good. Now we are going to strain into a chilled Nick and Nora glass. For the chilling, I put it in the freezer, got it wet, put it in the freezer about 5 minutes before I started recording, which usually is about enough time according to Eddie. And then we are going to strain. And the strainer here, all it's doing is it's keeping the ice out of the glass. And since you're stirring, you're not really breaking up the ice like you would be if you were shaking, so you really don't need to worry about little tiny pieces of ice in it. And then we have a lemon peel twist, so I'm going to kind of squeeze that above the drink, and then I'm going to drop it in. And now we're going to see. Again, I don't know whether I'm going to like this because, again, it's Scotch, and Scotch and me are not good friends, but maybe this will be a start of a whole new relationship. So let's see what we've got. That's unusual. Um, I think I'm liking. I think I'm getting a little bit of an aftertaste from the Scotch, which I don't think is necessarily something I like, and maybe that's just again my problem with Scotch. But the front of this drink is really pretty nice. So, okay, that's interesting. Not quite sure. Jury's still out on this one. I'll see what I feel like about it when I drink the rest of it. It may grow on me as I drink it. Anyway, thank you for joining me for this episode of Drinks from Eddie Muller's Noir Bar. Uh, I'm not sure what I'm going to do next time. I didn't bother to think about it this time through. So from a booth in the back of Eddie Muller's Noir Bar, we're going to say cheers, and I hope you join me next week.